I am, as you know, a Brooklynite, born and bred, a first-generation American on my father's side, barely second generation on my mother's.
March 15, 1933, marks the day of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's birth, which is now known nationwide as Ginsburg Day. The reason that this amazing woman has an entire day named after her is because she achieved the unfathomable. She did this by making it her responsibility to show people the unequal rights in society and saw to it that they were addressed properly in the courtroom. She inspired people of all backgrounds to pursue their passions after she stood up for herself and other victims of inequality. Justice Ginsburg successfully broke gender barriers and made nation-changing laws like the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act and the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. Ruth Bader Ginsburg grew up as a Jewish woman with a big imagination. She never listened to the stereotypes of a woman nor backed away from challenge. During the time period in which she grew up, the mid to late 1900s, genders were far from equal. Women were treated like they were nothing compared to a man, so they were treated less than males. Many of the rights that all people have today, men had, but not women back then. Things like equal pay and equal jobs weren't available for women, since people thought that women did not deserve equal pay and were not able to do equal jobs. Ginsburg always had unnecessary challenges because of her religion and gender. People would always think, well, she's just a girl, or women don't have the intelligence to do a job like this. In fact, during Ginsburg's first year at Harvard Law, her professor gathered all 9 women in a class of 540 and asked them how the women feel to take the place of a more deserving man, keeping in mind that there were about 530 other men going to Harvard Law. After leaving Harvard to support her husband, Martin Ginsburg, she graduated from Cornell University. She eventually got pregnant with her daughter, and her husband was diagnosed with testicular cancer, making it increasingly more important to have a job. Most law firms, however, wouldn't hire Ginsburg because she was a mother, and everyone thought that her husband should be the main provider for the family. She kept trying for years to make a difference while also supporting her family. She took jobs like a college professor and being a clerk for several law attorneys and judges until former President Jimmy Carter appointed her to be on the United States Court of Appeals. Ginsburg was most certainly not the only one who suffered from these stereotypes, so she decided to take action since she knew the effects it would have on the next generation.
Not a law firm in the entire city of New York bid for my employment as a lawyer when I earned my degree.
There were many well-known firms in New York that were not yet up to welcoming Jews. The next, I was a woman. That was a higher barrier. But the absolute killer was I had a 4-year-old daughter.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg spent most of her adulthood fighting for equal rights and didn't let the critics get to her. It's extremely impressive that she was able to make such a difference in the way society looks at women, while also dealing with men constantly telling her that she wasn't deserving of such fame. Justice Ginsburg changed many rights and laws that were sexist and prejudiced, including equal pay, the rights of pregnant women, and even Social Security rules. Ruth Bader Ginsburg poured her energy every day of the week in order to make sure that women, men, and people of different religions and races were treated equally because that's what they deserved. Ginsburg got recognized for all of her efforts, and former President Bill Clinton nominated her to be an associate of the Supreme Court. She was given a chance to make an even greater difference, and she did not shy away. When she made it onto the most famous and important bench of the nation, she in no way stopped to make her efforts to create an equal country. She made friends with her co-workers, including Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the only other woman on the bench, and even Antonin Scalia, who had directly opposed everything that Ginsburg believed. She showed how different beliefs shouldn't stop a friendship from blooming. One of the biggest cases seen by Ruth Bader Ginsburg while she was on the Supreme Court was called United States vs. Virginia. To summarize this case, there was a girl in high school who wanted to attend Virginia Military Institute, which at the time had a male-only admission policy. In 1996, this case came to the Supreme Court, and Justice Ginsburg used the 14th Amendment to argue VMI's policies against women. Today, women from around the country are able to go to this school because of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Institute cadet Anna Armfield would not be able to hold the rank she has today.
Without, Ginsburg, we wouldn't be here.
Armfield spent the weekend reflecting on the death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. One of her most notable achievements was delivering the majority opinion opening the all-male school to women in the 90s.
Looking back on all that she did and what she said and what she pushed for definitely motivated me over the last few days to really reflect and to think about why we're here.
In 2017, Ginsburg visited Post to mark the 20-year anniversary of the decision.
When Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a lawyer, she brought a case that would be known as Weinberg v. Weisenfeld to the Supreme Court. This case focused on a father, Stephen Weisenfeld, whose wife had recently died after child labor. Stephen Weisenfeld intended to collect the survivor's benefit from Social Security, but was told no, because he was a father and not a mother. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg won this case, the rules changed so that people of all kinds are able to benefit from this. Some would say that long-term impacts of Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be all of the laws and rights that she helped create to protect people of all kinds, but the true impact of Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be how many people she was able to inspire. She absolutely made an impact by defending pregnant women, helping people get equal pay, and even becoming one of the first females on the Supreme Court. However, she was able to inspire people to continue these acts towards equality, and that was the ultimate act of responsibility. In 1956, the year Ginsburg started at Harvard Law, the percentage of women lawyers in the United States was 3.0%. And today, the percentage of women lawyers is 39.7%. That is a very dramatic increase, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg is part of the reason that women were inspired to go for their dreams of being in the law industry. Women are now more able to advocate for themselves in a world that Ruth Bader Ginsburg made, the world of equality. Today, there are female mechanics, female firefighters, and police, female construction workers, etc. These are all jobs that are usually ruled by men, jobs that come to mind when you think of a manly job. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of the first people to break these barriers and make a change in these stereotypes. Ruth Bader Ginsburg always fought for her own morals, and she did it without showing any hesitation. Contrary to other great leaders, she made a difference in this world by helping people other than herself and making sure that other people were able to fight for what they believed in. Ginsburg faced many challenges based on gender discrimination. Most of these problems wouldn't have been a problem if people didn't make such quick judgments on people who might look different or sound different. She helped to create many laws and defended cases like letting women join military schools and multiple cases of fathers not getting the survivor's benefit that a mother would have gotten if it was he who died. Millions of men and women have profited from Ruth Bader Ginsburg because of all the laws she's made. People have also benefited because she inspired so many women and people who may be different to pursue their dreams and be good at what they do without having to worry about getting paid less than a white Christian male. The entire country now praises the work of the notorious RBG because she fought for the equality and freedom of the people in this country. Men and women from everywhere came in September of 2020 to mourn the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That night, the American flag flew at half-staff to remember the extraordinary woman, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.